We are rolling.
All right.
Hi.
Hello. This is we're closing off season 1. Not that strong. We're both coming off being sick.
Yeah. The holiday season did not
Was not kind to us.
No. We got all of the colds from all those little hands. Well,
But-
there was only one set of hands at your parents' house.
But I'm still feeling good cuz I bought a JBL boombox.
Yeah, we've been bumping.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been sick, but we've been listening to some good tunes.
We've been sick, but the Bluetooth bumpage has been real.
Yeah, so now we're to episode 10, and then we can move on to season 2 and hopefully away from these colds. So.
But we did so it's like, "Oh, we're going to close out season 1." We're feeling a little rough.
Yeah, I posted a picture of Robert as he's dying in bed. I felt like that was appropriate for the sickness.
For Chisel.
Yeah.
But we're back. Let's get right back into it.
We back.
Super good episode.
Yeah, super good episode. What a way to end.
Yeah, we're trying not to. Well, I'm good with the cough. Holly might have a coughing fit, but
Yeah, if I sound like I have something in my mouth, it's because it's a cough drop,
yeah,
not a dick.
we're just trying to. No dicks, 0 dicks, just cough drop.
Just cough drop. So you ready?
Mm-hmm.
So season 1, episode 10, Fire and Blood.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so we started at the Sept of Baylor. It's right after Ned's head has been gacked.
Yeah, we kind of just pick up where we left off with the birds flying up in the air.
Mm-hmm. We see this the blood dripping down.
The
Sir,
sword.
Ian, Payne.
Yeah,
Elin Payne. I can't say his name today. He lifts in the background as you see the blood like dripping off the sword. You see him lift Ned's head in the air, and everyone.
it's,
Cheers.
I don't think it was him. I think it was the Hound that did it.
Oh, is it the Hound that
Yeah,
lifts
it
his
looked
head?
like it. It looked like it because I was.
Okay, I wasn't watching that.
Yeah, I thought about that. I was like, oh, it's weird that he did that.
That
Or
would
I
make
think
sense.
it was him.
That would make sense because I guess we're seeing it from the perspective
doesn't-
of the sword.
It doesn't seem like it's something he would want to do. It was probably like Joffrey was probably like, hey, go pick
Pick
his
that shit
fucking
up.
head up
Yeah.
and like present it to the crowd.
Yeah. We cut to Arya, who's in the crowd with Euron.
And
Yeah.
he's telling her to like, shut up, boy.
Yeah, he says, look at me. He says, do you remember me now, boy? And then he keeps saying boy. He says, that's a good boy. Come with me, boy. Keep your mouth shut, boy. You know,
Yeah.
repetitiously saying,
Well, like to make her
understand.
realize, and also that I guess for everyone else, for the benefit
hear
of
the
everyone
boy.
else exactly
Yeah.
around, it's like, oh, it's just some
Yeah.
boy. No one's looking for boys right now.
Exactly. Is there like leaving the sept? We see Sansa pass out.
Yeah, she's like faints.
Yeah, she faints. She looks really a lot like Natalie Portman's character in Star Wars when she has that.
With the hair.
Yeah, I don't think it's I can't remember which one it is because I'm not very familiar with those shit movies.
Episode 1.
Yeah. Is that the good one? I can't remember which one of those is okay.
They're all pretty trash. The
Yeah.
third one's kind of good because that's when he goes ham on all those
That's
little
right.
kids and shit, and it gets pretty raw. But
yeah. Pretty
yeah,
sure
those
the first
movies-
two are bad.
those movies
Yeah.
are trash.
Yeah. So, but every time she falls, all I can think is like, man, Natalie Portman's in this for some reason. So we cut back to Arya. He's again saying, he calls her boy, and she says, "I'm not a boy," and he says, "Well, you're not a very smart boy."
Not a smart one.
And he cuts her hair and says, "We're going north."
Yep.
So we cut to Bran. He's clearly dreaming because he's walking through the courtyard of Winterfell.
Yeah.
The
Three-eyed raven.
Three-eyed raven shows up as normal, and this time, they actually go down into the crypts.
Yeah.
So Bran is telling Asha about it.
Well, he was dreaming, and then it just kind of like the dream ended, and
yeah.
it cuts right to them
Walking
where he's
through,
dreaming.
yeah.
So it's kind of seamless the way that happens.
I think it's one of those where it's like, yeah, it was just like they wanted to show it that it was the reason why he was going there, but there was no reason to be like
no reason to show him like waking up in bed
Yeah,
or anything.
exactly.
It's just like, okay, this is what I saw last night, so
Yeah.
we're here now, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to convince you to go down there.
To go down there.
What's her name?
Asha.
Because he's on her shoulders.
Her shoulders, because Hodor doesn't like the crypts, so he doesn't
So he's
like
like,
going
I'm
down
not
there.
taking you down there.
Yeah, and you see Hodor in the back. He's like kind of
Fuck that.
as much as he could be like crouching and like
Yeah.
being like, I don't want to go in there.
Nope.
And so he says, Brandon says that in the dream that he followed the three-eyed raven, and he says, we went down in the crypts and my father was there. And he says, you're afraid to go in the crypts just like Hodor. And Asha's like, no, I'm not. And he was like, well, you shouldn't be because you've been north of the wall and stuff.
Yeah, you've seen some crazy shit.
Yeah, so they go down. They're walking through the crypts. He sees the statue of Lord Rickard. He says, that was my grandfather. He was burned alive by the Mad King. And then they pass Lyanna's statue. He says that King Robert was supposed to marry her, but Rhaegar stole her away. King Robert started a rebellion. But that Lyanna died anyway. And then he gets to a spot and he says, that's where I saw my father. And Asha says, he's not here. He won't be here for many, many, many years, my little lord. But then something in the shadows moves. And then something leaps out at them, and it ends up being Shaggadog.
I think it's Shaggy Dog.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Shaggadog.
Yeah, it's Shaggadog. Which is Rickon's direwolf. He's down there too.
Kid always looks like such a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it, he's a little kid, but he always has this like look on his face, like someone just smacked the shit out of him, and, like took his money and his candy and everything. Like
he's like a 4.
Always has this bit. Like, get into something. Like, go get into some trouble. Like, get into some fights with some other kids. Rough around a little.
I don't think there are many other kids.
I get it.
And also, your entire family just rolled out on you, and you barely are comprehending the world anyway.
Okay, Holly. Way to make a point against me calling him a little bitch.
I'm sorry. You can call him a little bitch. It's okay.
He just always looks like there's... Oh, whatever.
No,
I
you're
guess
right.
His family's gone. Okay.
His face... No.
His parents are gone. He should look like a little bitch.
No.
Fuck me. Sorry, I'm wrong.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I think
Sweet
your
little boy.
reaction is fine.
Whatever.
He is a sweet little boy.
Sweet little bitch.
And so Bran's like, you're not supposed to be down here, which Rickon could be like, well, you're not supposed to be down here either.
Like, whoa, what about you?
Yeah, like you can't even walk. And
it's not like he's so much older. What is he, like 3 or 4 years older?
Yeah, I
than
think
him?
he's supposed to be like, well, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4. So Rickon says that he came down there to see Father, and he says, well, he's not down here. And Rickon was like, well, he was. I saw him last night when I was sleeping.
Yep.
And when he says that, that's when Osha kind of gets a weird look on her face. Of course, Bran does too. And as they're walking back through the courtyard of Winterfell, she says, well, both of you miss him, and it's natural that he should be in your thoughts and dreams.
Even though they all, like, she, as she's saying it, Bran, as he's hearing it, are all like, you know that this is weird.
Well, she starts trailing off, like she's understanding that, like, this is a little weirder than that. And Asha, of course, has seen things
weird.
So, and that's when they kind of run into the path of Maester Aemon, and they see that he has a very weird look on his, very ominous.
Yeah, he looks white.
Yeah, like obviously there's news. So she trails off, and there's confirmation as to why they saw Ned in the crypts last night.
Yep.
Yeah. So then we cut to Catelyn. She's walking through the Stark encampment.
Clearly after she just got the news.
Yeah. She's walking past all the men. They're, of course,
kneeling down in respects because they all know what's happened as well. And also she doesn't want to look like a bitch in front of them all. She wants to show face and look strong.
Yeah, she does look very strong.
So she's making her way to the woods so she could let it all out.
Yeah, so she has a moment as soon as she gets out in the woods. But then she hears a noise, and she looks up like the clearing and sees Rob. He's just up there like
beating a tree to death like John does when he's needs something to fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Get that aggression out.
Yeah. She runs, kick the table. She runs over to or she walks over to him, and she's like, Rob, and then he finally like hears her, and she says, you've ruined your sword. Yeah,
he's losing it on this
tree.
Yeah, like Blinken. Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah.
When he just like whittles that whole fucking post down, it's like during the whole fight.
Yeah. That would have been a really fun cut to scene for them to be like, let's just throw this in there for all those fans.
Did you say a Blinken?
I said, hey, Blinken.
A Blinken.
So Rob and Catelyn have a moment together over Ned, and Rob says, I'll kill them all, every one of them. And Catelyn reminds him that they have his sisters and that they need to get them back. And she goes, and then we'll kill them all. Yeah, she's got fire in her eyes. Oh, yeah. She's ready to get her daughters back and then fuck some people up. Mm-hmm. So we cut to a singer in the hall at the throne room. Looking nervous to be playing a song. Yeah. And as you hear the song, it's doesn't sound very nice.
No,
it's definitely
about,
a satirical song.
Yeah, it's a jokey song about Robert,
And
which
his
is
death.
Joffrey's father.
Yeah.
And so they're in the throne room.
Yeah, they're in the throne room.
And this guy, all eyes and ears on him. He's just on the floor playing this terrible pub song.
Yeah. The last line is the lion ripped his balls off and the bull did all the rest. And as soon as he finishes it, no one claps. It's clear that this is not an enjoyment.
No, this guy looks like, and the last lines as he's singing it, he looks like, oh,
fuck,
son of a bitch.
Yeah. So Joffrey starts slow clapping, nonsensical slow clapping.
I love how like now that he has the crown, it's like he needs to have this aura about him. Like when he talks and shit, he acts like he's 20 years older than he is. It's like, yes. Good now. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, he's like
you
acting
fucking
king.
Twerp.
Yeah, exactly. So the Joffrey starts clapping, everyone else kind of nervously claps. Joffrey says, "That's very amusing, isn't it a funny song?" And the singer says, "I'll never sing it again." And then Joffrey asks him, he's like, "I just have a question for you. Which do you favor, your fingers or your tongue?" And the guy's like, oh, what?" And he's like...
and he said, I think any man needs his fingers or hands or something.
So he says, "Oh, great. We'll take your well," he says, "If you must keep one, which would it be? Or I could just cut your throat." And that's when the guy says...
The thing about the hands.
Yeah, and so he says, "Oh, great, so tongue." And then he says, "Sir, Ilan, could you..."
Yeah, who better to do it than the guy without a tongue?
Yeah. So, as, that's being prepared to be, the singer's prepared to get his tongue cut out, Joffrey takes off his crown, says that he's done, and leaves the rest of the matters for Cersei to deal with.
Like a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. I'm done with this.
He walks away as Sir Ilan's going over to the fire to, get it hot.
Heat the knife up so he can slice right through that tongue.
Yeah, and as he walks up the stairs. He walks past into Sansa, and he tells her that she looks nice. And by this point, the guy is screaming in the background.
Oh yeah, they ripped that thing right off.
Oh yeah. So Joffrey tells her to walk with him, that he has something to show her, and she kind of hesitates, and the Hound tells her to do as she's bid. Yeah, bid.
You can start to tell that the Hound's always had to do what Joffrey said because he's the little prince bitch.
Yeah.
But now that he's king, he realizes that it's like a really bad situation. So now he's like, you can tell he's kind of feeling for other people, and he's like reluctant to do shit. Obviously, he's gonna do it because
he
he's
knows,
king. But he's like,
yeah,
God damn, just.
Well, he knows Joffrey's not the king that the realm needs.
Well, absolutely not, and he knows it's bullshit anyway. He knows that that's not. He's not fucking stupid, and he's been around this family
forever,
for years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he knows this is all bullshit, and he's stuck in between a rock and a hard place because he's not a bad dude.
No,
but he has
a job.
He's the right-hand man to this complete fucking turd.
And Joffrey is like clearly a sociopath.
Oh, for sure.
So
now that he got the power and he realizes like, oh, I don't even have to put that like nice front up anymore. It's like I can do anything I want.
Well, you see, as soon as he says like, "Bring me his head," he's like, even Cersei's like, "You have to stay. There's no stopping."
Yeah, there's nothing.
I
you
called
can't say shit.
Yeah.
And you guys completely did it.
Yeah.
You're the one that put him in that chair, and now you're fucked.
Now you're just cleaning up your mess. So the Hound tells her to go. As they're walking out, Joffrey just cuts to the point. He says, "As soon as you've had your blood, I'll put a son in you."
Yeah,
and he says, "My mom says it shouldn't be soon, or it should be soon," which is like really weird to be like,
hurry up with that period.
Yeah, have
girl.
that period, please.
I'm trying to blast something in there, even though again I'm staying with the thing that he's gay, and it's like my mother's gonna make me do this as soon as you bleed, so she says we have to do it, even though he'd probably rather just like quiver in the fucking corner naked, rather than smash Sansa off.
Oh yeah. So what he has to show her is all of the quote unquote traitors' heads on spikes.
First one being her father.
Yeah, she looks up and then is like, "Nope, no." So she looks down, and she says, my father promised to be merciful, and he said, well, I gave him a clean death.
Yep. Or you promised to be merciful.
So sorry. You promised to be merciful.
To her father.
Yeah. And Trant is there, of course, being the little bitch he is.
He is a bitch.
And he's kind of like holding her.
Fuck that
because
guy's face.
Joffrey's like trying to make her stay, you know. And she's just like, can I just go home? Like, that's all I want. I just don't want to be here. I don't need to be your wife. Like
my mom says that we have to get married, so no.
Yeah, and he says no, and you must look at Ned. So then she looks up at him, and she doesn't really look. I mean, you can see it's like she's looking at him, but she took the humanity out of it.
This is the beginning of her
Stockholm
realizing how the real world is.
Oh, yeah.
And she's starting to get cold.
Yeah.
She's going to start to get cold after this when she's like, or maybe he'll give me your fucking head. You know, like when she says that in a moment, but like.
She definitely has, this is where you see Sansa go from everything's fairy tales and, you know, Prince Charming.
How long do we have to wait to get married?
Yeah, this is the turning point for her character.
Fuck yeah.
She goes through many of them, but this is definitely one of them. So she says, how long do I have to look? And Joffrey says, as long as it pleases you.
It pleases me.
Sorry.
Which is a psycho thing to say.
Yeah. He says, do you want to see the rest? And she says, if it pleases your grace. And then he says, that's your septa. And then he says, I'm going to give you a present. After I kill your traitor brother, I'll give you his head as well. And then she says, or maybe he'll give me yours.
Ooh, he didn't like that shit.
Yeah. So then he says, my mom told me never to strike a woman. So he has Meryn hit her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid move there.
Yeah. So after Trant hits her in the face, Sansa sees what Joff's standing on, and she's like, I'm just gonna push him off this shit. They're standing
on this, like...
It's like a plank.
Yeah, it's like a plank. It's not even a bridge. And it's like maybe 4 or 5 feet wide. So she could just like... She's like looking over the edge, and she like... Well, I think I can just... Because she doesn't give a fuck about her own life at this point. She's looking at her dad's head on a spike.
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen?
10 feet away from her.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll just kill this motherfucker right now. And the hound totally senses it. Mm-hmm. And he grabs this little handkerchief from getting smacked by a bitch ass over there. She's got a little blood coming off of her lip. So he's like, let me just help you with that blood. Like, as she's like approaching Joffrey, he kind of he senses what's going on and grabs her and like... kind of gets the blood off her lip.
Yeah. He takes away her opportunity.
For sure.
Yeah. And then, so Joffrey walks off, Meryn walks off, and the hound turns to Sansa, and he says, save yourself some pain, girl, give him what he wants. And then she goes to hand him his, like, handkerchief back, and he says, you'll be needing that again. And that's when Sansa looks back up at her father's head one more time, and she knows... I feel like that's a moment when she knows that... and she very much knows that this is her fault.
I think, that plus...
she's the reason that the queen knew that they were trying to get out of town.
Also, I think she maybe gave it a last look just to completely freeze over her heart.
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
too.
I completely hate Joffrey and hate all these motherfuckers now, so I'm going to give that another look. Get a nice mental picture in my head, and that's going to keep me hating you until my last day.
Yeah. So we go to the northern encampment. They're talking about what to do, basically. And one of the guys says that the proper course is to swear fealty to Renly.
Yeah.
But Robb says that can't be the right way to go because he's Robert's youngest brother.
That doesn't make any sense. And also, they're all geared up for war, and you gotta have some real shit going on, and Renly's a bitch. So it's like, who's gonna rally behind him? Yeah,
exactly. So he's like, is like father, like son. Robb is like, Stannis is a rightful heir. That's who we should go with. And then one of the guys stands up and says, well, here's what I say to those two kings. And he spits on the ground.
Fuck them.
And he says, why should they rule over me and mine from some seat in the south? And he says, even their gods are wrong. And he says, why shouldn't we rule ourselves again? It was the dragons we bowed to, and the dragons are gone. So he says, he points to Robb, and he says, there sits the only king I mean to bow to, the king of the north. So then, all the men are getting hyphy. And others start standing and then bowing their swords to Robb.
Yeah.
And then Theon stands up and he says, am I your brother? And Robb says, now and always. And he says, my sword is yours in victory and defeat.
Now everybody's rallying.
Yeah. It was, it's interesting because I don't know. It's fun to listen to two different people be crowned King of the North, basically. But I always feel like Jon's is, I've just felt like Jon's scene was way more moving.
Well, a lot more has
happened.
The story is a lot heavier at that point.
Yeah,
so.
it's just like you watch this and you like, I remember having that feeling like, oh man, Robb's gonna be the King of the North.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It was a little lackluster, but again, not a lot's happened.
Yeah,
and
that's also seasons later.
Fucking what happens to Robb, so it's like
that too. It's also it's
so
just
excited.
Well, but I mean, it's just interesting as you're watching the story to see two different scenes of the same thing, basically.
Yeah,
and how because of what the men had been through at the point in the series when Jon.
Oh yeah, a lot.
It's a whole different feeling.
And by the time he's had to do a lot more to win them over. These guys are just like, oh, that's Ned's son.
Yeah.
He's gotten us this far.
I mean, Jon
Let's
had
get behind him. Jon has to fucking...
He has to freaking die.
Prove himself 30 fucking times over.
Yeah.
Until everybody's finally bowing to him.
Yeah. So then we see Catelyn, she walks over to these two guys who are like guarding the prisoners. And she says, I want to see him. Obviously, she means Jaime.
Yeah.
So when they get down to where he is, she asks the guard to leave. She's like, I want to see him alone. She picks up a rock, and as she's walking towards him, Jaime says that she looks lovely, that widowhood becomes her, and that her bed must be lonely. And if that's what she's come for, she could just...
And he's like, well, I'm not at my best, but I could probably still beat that thing up pretty good.
Which probably, I mean, she was probably going to hit Jaime in the face with the rock anyway.
Oh, for sure.
Just out of anger.
At least once.
But as soon as he started talking, I'm sure she was like, I want to fucking kill you.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's pretty... I mean, widowhood looks lovely on you.
Oh, he's just digging it in. He's such he's such a prick.
Yeah, so she hits Jaime in the face.
Hard.
Yeah. And she says, I will kill you tonight, sir. Put your head in a box and send it to your sister. And Jaime tells her that she can kill him because he doesn't fear death. He says, the darkness is coming for us all. Why cry about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He asks, he starts even making fun of her tree gods. He's like, where were your tree gods when Ned's head was chopped off?
Yeah, and why is there so much unjust?
Yeah, and then I would be like, well, motherfucker, you guys are the ones that chopped down all the tree gods in the South. That's why they weren't there.
Yeah.
You asshole. But, that's just me.
You could, She could have brought that up.
Yeah. So she said, because of men like you, there's injustice in the world. And he says, there's no men like me, only me. That's
true.
So she asks him, she says, my son, Bran, how did he fall? And he says, I pushed him out of the window. And she says, why? And he said, well, I hoped the fall would kill him.
She said, why? And then he's like, well, I've kind of hit a wall. I don't think I really want to get into this right now.
Yeah, so he says, you should get some sleep. It's going to be a long war. And she kind of, I think she has a change of mind of what she's there to do at that moment. And she drops the rock, and that's when she kind of just walks away.
Well, also, he had a lot of good shit to say back to what she was saying.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that she... if she was there to kill him or at least fuck him up hard, she wasn't satisfied with his answers, so she's not going to let him go that easy.
Yeah.
So, we cut to Lancel. He's in a room naked, talking his ass off.
Looking about 6'1", 60 pounds, I'd say.
Yes.
Dude is a string bean, dude.
He's like so like Topher Grace in season 1 of that
Grace
70s
looks like
show.
The Rock.
I know he's so tiny, but this compared to Lancel,
Eric Foreman is the Rock
compared to Lancel.
This dude.
Yeah, definitely.
He is so fucking tiny.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Real tiny.
It's like he should be in the Ramones.
Yeah. He's saying, I can't believe we're actually at war. Was it exciting was it this exciting last time? And then he goes, when you were young, which is not something you say to Cersei.
Yeah.
It's kind of insulting to...
Was it this exciting?
Yeah. And it's
so
clear...
fucking far removed.
Yeah. So Lancel then says, what's our next move? And she's reading... Is she reading something? I feel like she was standing there reading something.
I don't know if we were supposed to get anything out of that scene besides that she's fucking her cousin.
She's fucking him.
While Jaime's captured, because she needs some she needs some kind of Lannister dick in her at all times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously that's how she got the thing with Robert. That's how she convinced Lancel to keep feeding him alcohol that day.
Word.
Yeah. So Lancel's clearly in on it. So she just tells him to stop talking it back into bed, and that's when he picks all 60 pounds up off of the floor and walks over to the bed.
Get your skinny ass in bed.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's fucking her with his body. Just throwing
the whole,
feet in there
yeah,
first.
he's just like
squeezing into where he looks like Ace Ventura in the back of that rhino. By the time he's all the way in there, he just has a little bit of his head sticking out.
Yeah.
Pretty hot in these rhinos.
The little finger coming out. So then we cut to the Lannister encampment. They're meeting, and Tyrion or Tywin says they have my son,
and looks very distraught.
Yeah, and
because they finally have something that he cares about.
Yeah, the one thing that he cares about the most. So Tyrion, as always, goes, well, looks like the Stark boy's a little less green than you thought.
Yeah, not quite as green as we thought.
Yeah. So then they start talking about the Baratheon brothers and how maybe they should sue for peace, you know.
I'm like, well, that plan's out the fucking window.
Yeah. So, Tyrion just knocks a glass off the table, and he's like, there's your piece.
Making a super good point.
Yeah, he said, you lost that chance when Joffrey took Ned's head. And then he says he's winning, talking about Robb.
Yeah.
He says he's winning in case you didn't notice. And then Tywin, everyone starts talking to him, and Tywin yells, "They have my son." That's the only issue.
Everybody's talking about different plans. Let's do this. Let's do that. And he's like,
yeah,
nope.
Yeah. So Tywin tells everyone to get out except for Tyrion. Tyrion sits back down at the table, reaches for the wine,
and he pulls it away. Tywin pulls it away,
but then pours it for him.
But then he pours it for him, which is probably the first time that's ever happened in Tyrion's life.
Oh, well, you can see it on his face. He's like, what's happening?
What do you want?
Yeah. So Tywin then says, you were right about Eddard Stark. If he was alive, we could have bartered for peace. But he says, and then he says, madness and stupidity, which...
Well, he also said at the beginning, I always thought you were a stunted fool.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes...
Oh, that's after that part.
Oh, was it?
That's the next line I have. Okay, I was going to say, I wrote that down.
I thought that was at the beginning. I just thought that was
No,
funny.
he said madness and stupidity, and then Tywin says, I always thought you were a stunted fool. And then
Tyrion
he says,
well, you're half right.
He says you were half right. Apologies. So Tywin tells him, I like the stunted fool line.
Mm-hmm.
Tywin tells him that he tells him about the plans. He says Sir Gregor and 500 men are riding north, going to the Riverlands. They're going to burn everything.
Yep, I'm going to start some shit.
Yeah, and the rest of us are going to Harrenhal, except for you. You're going to King's Landing. And Tyrion's like, why?
For what?
Yeah, and he's like, to rule as hand of the king in my stead. And he's like, you need to bring that boy king and his mother, to kneel. Like, you need to keep them.
Yeah, because that's what Joffrey's going to do. Respect his dwarf uncle that's been a bitch to him.
Yeah.
And now that he's king, you think he's like, what an awful plan.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's clear that Tywin is setting Tyrion up for failure.
Yeah.
He knows what he's sending him to. And Tywin's like, well, if nobody listens, and Tyrion goes, yes, head, spikes, walls.
Yeah,
I know.
We get it.
Yeah. And so then he goes, but just one question real quick before I go. Why me? And Tywin goes, because you're my son, which Tyrion should be like, I'm not going there then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But he just kind of gives
he does
look.
what he's told. He can't
do
argue.
anything else.
Yeah. So as Tywin leaves, he says, one more thing. You're not to take that whore to court with you. Do you understand?
Insane.
Talking
about Shay.
Yeah. So we cut to Dany. She's laying on a bed area in the tent. Jorah is sitting beside her, kind of just waiting for her to awake. She does. She says, Sir Jorah. He runs over to her. She asks where her son is. Where is he? I want him. Jorah tells her that the boy didn't live. And she asks, how did he die? And Jorah says, well, he never lived, my princess. And then that's when the witch came in.
And just starts digging the knife in with he was this
she
and
said
that,
he was
and
monstrous.
It was your fault.
Yeah, monstrous, twisted. And she said, I pulled him out myself. He was scaled like a lizard, blind, with leather wings, that his skin fell apart when you touched him.
Or do you think that it was just straight up like, okay, she took the kid's dead, but do you think she was just saying all this shit to like make her feel about, oh, you had this fucked up looking kid and it was all your fault and like all this and his skin fell off and it was scaly? Do you think that was true?
I mean, it seems like,
because she does have
it seems like the hesitation that Jorah has that it may be.
Well, but I'm saying like,
he just,
well, it seems like because she is like the dragon, would she be able to have, I mean, I guess with like a weird witchy spell, she could like have a scaly child with wings and shit, maybe? Who knows?
I don't think it actually was like that. Well, you know, there's another description in the book of a monstrous, twisted little person, and it's Tyrion.
Well,
so it's like, you know, what may be described is not actually.
Well, that's what
exactly
I mean, because because obviously she can make Dementors and shit show up, and so did she actually do some fucked up spell to where her newborn was like this half lizard,
I think that was the
dragon thing, or was she just saying that to make her feel awful, like, oh, your husband's a vegetable, your kid came out as a fucked up lizard, like,
yeah, I think she was
just wanting to dig it in,
adding depth.
Okay,
to it, yeah.
Just always wondered that.
Yeah, she says, I warned you that only death could pay for life. You knew the price. Dany asks to see Khal Drogo, and she says, show me what I bought with my son's life. And the witch says, as you command, lady, I'll take you to him. And she's like gleefully.
Oh, she's hyped.
Yeah. So, Dany.
Well, I mean, you're on Dany's side, but this woman got wronged.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. So Dany exits the tent, and that's when she sees that the Khalasar is gone. And Jorah says, well, the Dothraki follow only the strong.
Yep.
So she goes to where Khal Drogo is, and she asks why he's all out there alone, because he's just laying in the sun.
Yeah.
And Jorah says, well, he seems to like the warmth. And she says, like, what's wrong with him? And the witch says, well, he lives. You asked for life. You paid for life.
Yeah, he's alive.
So she was like, well, when is he going to be normal? Like, the way he was. And the witch says, when the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, when the waters go dry, something about the mountains. I can't remember all of it.
When the mountains, like, flow, or she was talking about the mountains, like, turn to, like,
yeah, I can't quite remember
like
all of it. Yeah, something like
blow,
that.
like, away like leaves.
Yeah. That's when he'll live again. And so,
well,
Dany,
thanks for nothing, bitch.
Yeah, Dany's uber pissed now. So she's like, leave us. She tells all of them to leave. And Jorah's like, well, I'm not going to leave you alone with this woman. And Dany's like, I've got nothing to fear from her.
Yeah.
So she says, so Dany says, you knew what I was buying and you knew the price. And the witch says, well, it was wrong for the cow to have burned my temple.
Fuck yeah.
And
where she had healed a bunch of people.
Yeah. And Dany says, well, my child was innocent. And the witch was like, no, he's not. He would be the stallion that mounts the world. He would have burned and pillaged and raped. Yeah. I'm saving all of those people from that.
Though, I think with her coming more into her power, those eggs hatching, all of that would have happened if Cal was still alive.
Oh, yeah.
Those eggs would have eventually hatched. They would have eventually realized that she's a bad motherfucker and that she can't be burnt. And honestly, it kind of would have changed, because what's Khal Drogo going to do when his girl has 3 full-size dragons beside you? Think you're running things now?
Yeah.
You think people are going to be like, we don't listen to women? Well, you fucking listen to this woman now. So, like, I don't think that child would have been like that. It probably would have been the first, like, hybrid of you get her, which is like a real kind. She's like a sweetie, but she's stern and does the right thing. But then you're getting the attributes of Khal Drogo. So it's this big, bad motherfucker with like a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And probably can maybe not be burnt as well. So I don't know, when she's like, oh yeah, he would have fucked things up, so he's not innocent. I don't think that's necessarily true.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Because he would have been brought up. This would have been the first, well, what are they called? Dothraki.
Yeah.
To be brought up differently.
Yeah. Yeah. This would be like, when like we.
Be like Jon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
It's like two families and meshing.
Yeah.
two badass families meshing.
Yes.
To make this crazy thing.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing behind that Jon is a Targaryen and he's a Stark.
Well, it's cool because you get the best of both worlds. It's like you're this. Yeah, that shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother conversation.
We will get to that.
Yeah. So so she says, she says that shit about how her son would be the stallion of the mountain world, and she says, Dany says, I saved you. And the witch says, you didn't save me. And she's like, save me? And she's like, 3 of those riders had already raped me before you, quote unquote, saved me.
Yeah, you were a little late.
Yeah. She said that she saw her god's house burn and that she saw the death and the beheading of people that she knew. And she says, tell me again exactly what you saved me from. And she says, she points to the cow and she says, you'll see exactly what life is worth when the rest is gone. Look at him. Like, what did you save me from when everyone I cared about is dead?
Yeah.
You know. So Dany, she gives her a really bitchy look, but the witch does kind of have a point here. Again, you've taken everything I've known and loved.
Oh, yeah.
And what's left, so I did the same thing to you.
Yep.
Which is kind of shitty because it's like she was being nice. You could have just been a dick to him, but whatever.
That's true. I mean, you can kind of... It's a slippery one.
It's a slippery slope.
You can kind of see it from all sides.
Okay, so we cut to Jon and Sam. They're at the gates of Castle Black. Jon's trying to leave. Sam says, he says in like the girliest way.
I was going to say, why this whole time is he talking like such a fucking cartoon character?
I don't know.
You can't. It doesn't even sound... That's not the way he talks.
Yeah. I guess it's because he hasn't done anything badass yet.
But he doesn't even sound like that when he's getting beat when he's first at the wall.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
it was a weird choice to go to.
It is weird.
Yeah. Sam says they'll put out word, they'll send ravens, they'll come after you. Do you know what happens to deserters? And Jon says, I know better than you do. Which is true.
Truth.
Yeah, my dad just kind of takes their heads if he finds them. So then... Sorry. Then Sam asks what he's going to do, and Jon says, I'm going to find Robb, and then I'm going to put a sword through Joffrey.
Easy peasy.
So Jon tells Sam to move. He won't, so he kind of just, like, knocks him over. He runs at him. Sam falls, because, of course, he's getting out of the way of the horse, and Ghost runs off with him. So we cut to the Tyrion's tent. He's talking to Shay. She's saying Hand of the King, and she says you can't take anyone to King's Landing.
I fucking hate. Can I just say?
Yeah,
this?
she's the worst.
I hate Shay's character, and not even because of what we find out about her. I don't like her from the start. It's like, oh, we're all drinking and having fun and playing this drinking game. I'm not playing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, why? Don't talk about my mom. Fuck, this girl's not even fun.
Yeah.
Keep her the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I assume that she...
And then when it's like, my dad said you can't come. Oh, so he knows my name? What the fuck? You know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
why do you do... Oh, he called me whore. Oh, he knows my name, does he? Like, why are you making this so difficult for me?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the nice one. I'm nice to you.
Yeah.
I'm fucking you up with these fingers. I'm sure I'm getting you nice food,
You're
nice
getting
clothes.
Paid. Yeah.
It's like... Why are you such a bitch to me?
Yeah, she's definitely...
I fucking hate her character.
And she's not a very good actress. It's weird that they went with who they went with because she's not very good.
She's trash.
Yeah. So anyway, we hate
Psyched
Shay.
on her getting choked the fuck out.
Yeah,
but
can't wait.
It's gonna be a while. So onward.
Yeah. So, she asks if Tyrion's ashamed of her, and Tyrion says, "We have to do exactly what my father says because he has and always will be a cunt."
For shizzle.
Yeah. And so that's when Tyrion says, I believe that the ladies of the court could learn a great deal from you. And he's like, I'm bringing you to court anyway.
Yay.
Yay.
I can't wait to go there and make things difficult for you.
Yeah.
Be a huge bitch.
And spy. So we go back to Jon. He's riding through the woods. But he's like, he hears, Ghost is running with him, but then he hears some sounds behind him.
Yeah, he hears a couple horses behind him.
Yeah. It's Sam, Pip, and Grin. Of course, Sam can't even fucking ride a horse through the woods.
Oh, well, like Jon, you see Jon, he's like galloping, and you see this low branch, and he just like misses it, like ducks under it, and then of course Sam's Ophi like
Yeah, his Ophi ass
comes
gets
up.
taken out.
Boom.
Yeah.
Gets
So
rocked.
so of course John, as soon as he hears like them being like, Sam, John's like, all right, well, let me stop, make sure Sam's okay, because he definitely got hit by that branch. And so
shook the ground with his fat ass.
yeah, I think that, don't they say like at least you have enough padding for that
at least
fall?
you had padding.
So that's when John walks up to where the three of them are, and they say, we're taking you back to where you belong. And I think it's Pip that says, we're sorry about your father, but it doesn't matter. You took the oath. You can't leave.
Yeah, nothing you say is going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't.
And so John's trying to say stuff. And so then they just start saying the vows, which is the way to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they start saying the vows. They get to the end. It reminds John that he is an honorable person and is going to do the right thing. Sam picks up Longclaw and he hands it to John. And we see him take it, obviously making the decision to go back.
All right, I'm back in.
Back in. So we cut to Dany. She's in the tent with Khal Drogo. She's talking about their first ride together. She's like,
which I couldn't understand. I didn't know if that meant like them riding horses together or him blasting that ass the first time.
I think it was them riding horses together.
I guess she did say our first ride.
Well, in the book, he presents Silver to her, the horse, and then they ride off together for some time,
so
and then he finds this place, and then that's
so
where
we
they
didn't
fuck.
get that
No, not in the show.
in the show.
No, so I'm
So their
assuming
first
that's
ride
why
together-
I think their first ride together is actually a horse ride. We just didn't see it.
Well, I was just being a dick, but
No,
yeah.
no.
But also,
She also
so-
did not enjoy her first
but
boning.
their first ride was documented in the book, I guess.
Yeah, it's like this whole love scene. That's why
Yeah.
the whole Khal Drogo and Khaleesi
It's-
like love story, like people like suck to it. I don't really care about it.
Well, and again, I guess they don't do a whole lot in the show, but that would have been nice, like to have them just like ride off and kind of be like looking over this sunset or something. You know, on both on their horses, and they could have just shown a little clip of that.
I'm again. It's been a while since I've read the books, but I'm pretty sure that's where she realizes that he's very tender, even though because she's cowering the whole time, thinking he's going to be rough with her. And as he's like declothing her, he's very sweet about it.
Yeah.
He's very sensitive.
Well, I guess we got that scene on the rocks.
Yeah, it's like they took that nice writing in the book that's probably, I don't know, a couple pages worth, and gave you a 30-second scene in the rocks.
I'm gonna beat this thing up on the rocks.
Yeah, pretty
Now
much.
she likes me.
Yeah, so anyway, that I think that's where that comes from. But yes, we'll go with
Okay.
fucking.
Alrighty.
So as she's talking about their first ride, she says to him, if you're still in there, please show me. And there's nothing.
And he sings a song to her.
Yeah. And she says, I need you to fight now. You've always been a fighter. I need you to fight now.
Not happening.
And she says, I know you're very far away. Come back to me, sun and stars. And that's when I realized that Jason Momoa is really good at staring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I wonder if they have to, like, I assume they do something so that you, like, lax your eyes or whatever.
No, they just shoot him like, all right, time to be still
But you
there,
just blink
Mau
a
Mau.
lot. Mau Mau. He's just like, I mean, your eyes just naturally, like, flicker to any movement.
Lay
so
still, Aquaman. Still.
maybe this prepared him for Aquaman. Prepared him.
This prepared him to be in a garbage movie
Yeah.
that I haven't seen yet. I'm just talking shit. If
Yeah,
you love that movie,
I just talk shit on everything, so. Anything Jason Momoa does.
it just looks like a fucking trash factory.
Yeah,
That
that's true.
movie looks terrible.
Yeah. So, that's when Dany, she knows he's gone. He's not making any sort of movement.
she's like,
He's not
well-
even looking at her.
Yeah, she's like, I know you're strong. You're a fighter. And then, like, nothing's happening. She's like, oh, fuck. All right.
Yeah. So she
Pillow.
lays with him for a while crying. And she repeats, when the sun sets in the west and when the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, then you'll come back to me, my sun and stars. And then, yeah, she gives him one final kiss, and then she grabs the pillow and smothers his ass.
Man number one down. There'll
Down.
be plenty more
Yeah, and Danny's got
Danny
got a lot of suitors. So we cut to Maester Pycelle's room. It's kind of like at first it's just an angle in the door.
Yeah, you're just seeing him
And
like
he's like coughing and talking and being old.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he's just you can see that he's talking to somebody, but
Someone.
you don't know who.
Yeah. So he says, I can tell you all there is to know about kings. And he says the thing you need to know about kings. And they kind of, trails off a little. And then he says, the past 67 years, I've truly known more kings than any man alive. I know how to serve them and keep on serving them. again, acting old and like coughing a lot.
It's also weird that you're proud of serving your whole life. Like,
well, that's what the Maester chapter does.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That is like his whole job. It's just weird as a man to
As
be
a
like,
man.
I'm great at serving this guy, and I'm just the best at it. I've done it a really long time.
You're right.
It's like,
You're right.
So
It's not something you would aspire to.
Yeah, you've never done anything yourself, like for your own family. Or it's like, no, I've just been a professional bitch.
Yeah.
For decades.
So he talks about Aerys Targaryen. He says he was the madness is the worst. He said he was a good man, such a charmer, and he watched him melt away before his eyes. And he said that the Mad King was consumed by dreams of fire and blood. And then he says that Robert was an entirely different animal. But he says something about how he was powerful, but powerful doesn't make a king.
Yeah.
And the whole time, the person he's talking to is Rosalind. They clearly just fucked. She's getting up, like, cleaning his gross ass.
Yeah, she's cleaning her business off.
Yeah. Not really listening. I guess she's kind of listening, but he's just, like, clearly yammering on.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's like, do you think he just likes to talk after sex, or is he...
I think it's a play. I think it's a put on.
You think he's trying to, like, okay.
So if anyone asks, she'd be like, yeah, his mind is going.
Yeah, he's just like, this old turd that trails off.
Yeah. So he says, what manner of king... he's talking, so he moves on to Joffrey. He says, what manner of King Joffrey will be... I believe, we don't know, but I believe true greatness is on the horizon. Yeah, right. So Rosalind, he stops talking, and Rosalind goes, so what's the thing? And he's like, what? And she's like, about kings. And she says, you started the thing you need to understand about kings. And then she's like, never mind. She realizes, again, she's like, you're old, like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
We're done. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. So she goes to walk out, and he's like, let me see you out. And she's like, no need. And he's like, well, next time, see you until next time. And as soon as he leaves, Pycelle gets up. He cracks his back.
The one thing I don't ever get, I can't get my hands. I can't
to make
shake
that noise?
my hands to make a flutter sound like
I've never
the
had
cheerleading coach and bring it on. These
Yeah.
Our spirit fingers.
Yeah. Never done that. I can't even get my fingers to move as fast as his does.
When he does that, it's like,
yeah,
you hear it.
Yeah. It's definitely not a good sound effect because that is not what your fingers do when you do that.
But, and then he cracks his back and shit, and he's like looking very like he could
spry,
do a little workout.
Yeah. He's definitely not as old as he puts on.
Fuck no.
Yeah. So then you see him like he's finally fully dressed. He's got his robes.
And he's like
standing tall.
He's standing tall. He's standing up.
And then as he goes to leave, he like goes to open the door and he kind of like
and you see
clears him throat. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see him slouch down.
And
like he goes from like a normal man to like Filbert from Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah.
And then he walks out the door like slow as shit.
Slow and yeah. So clearly
I'm nauseous. Good.
Yeah. So clearly that whole scene is to show you that Pycelle is putting on a full act.
Hard.
Yeah. No one knows.
Everybody thinks he's this dumb old guy. So you'll take your guard down, or you'll let your guard down in front of him, and probably end up spilling some beans about something because you're like, oh,
he's
numbnuts over there.
He'll forget about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we cut to Littlefinger. He's in the throne room staring at the Iron Throne. Varys walks in, and he asks Littlefinger. He says, he asks him, when you imagine yourself up there, does the crown fit? And then he asks him if all of the people who used to sneer at Littlefinger bow to him. And Littlefinger says, well, it's hard for them to bow when they don't have heads.
Ooh, we see what kind of king he would be.
Oh, absolutely. So he asks Varys about it. Sorry. He asks Varys about what he imagines when he thinks of himself on the throne. And Varys says, I must be one of the few men in the city who doesn't want to be king. And Littlefinger says, well, you're one of the few men in the city who isn't a man. And
then Varys is like, that was like a fucking C-, bro. You can do better than that.
Yeah. He says, so then Littlefinger says, I often wonder, did they take the pillar and in the stones? Or is it, is there anything left? And so I can't remember. Is it him that says that it's a gash? Arda's
He's
very
like, I
sick.
just assumed it was like a gash, like
Like a woman.
Like a woman.
Yeah. So
And he was like, does my gash keep you up at night, or thoughts of my gash? Or he said something
he
funny
says,
as
do
shit.
you lay awake at night thinking of my gash? Yeah.
Awesome.
So then they exchange their admiration for each other. And
I love it when these two slick bastards are talking.
Yeah,
Always good.
Yeah. Verbal warfare.
For sure.
And so they say, here we are standing in mutual admiration and respect, serving a new king. And as he says that, Joffrey enters, and then they say, I think Littlefinger says, long may he reign. Or Varys says, long may he reign. And Joffrey's like, all right, let's get this done.
Yeah.
I'm out. So we cut to Arya and Euron. They're walking. They're leaving. Heading to where all the other guys are that
everybody's taking.
Yeah.
Back to the wall.
And he tells he tells Arya that she's to go by the name Aery.
Aery.
And he says, you're a little orphan boy, because no one gives 3 shits about orphan boys.
There you go.
Yeah. And I put Oprah instead of orphan.
I'm Richard Cunningham, and this is my wife, Oprah.
He says that he has 20 men and boys all bound for the wall, and he says none of them are little lordlings. They were all, they're not down in the dungeons. And so he basically is warning her, like, these are not guys to mess with. Keep to yourself, and when you go to piss, do it alone in the woods.
Yep.
This is how you're going to stay alive, and they're going to know that you're not a girl. So he says, if you don't listen to me, I'll lock you in the wagon with those 3. And they pass 3 guys who look like they're going to eat Arya.
Definitely.
So Euron just like leaves. And these two, this like fat kid and this like little skinny, like Tiny Tim looking kid come up, and they start,
But both still bigger than her.
Oh yeah, definitely start harassing Arya. One of them says, what's a good little gutter rat like you doing with a sword? And the other one's like, well, maybe he's a squire. And the one's like, well, he's no squire. He looks like a girl. And then they were like, well, maybe we should steal your sword. Or that they think that Arya stole the sword.
Yeah.
So then the fat one says, give it here, midget, which is just...
Give it here.
It's like, she's not that much smaller than you. So
yeah.
Midget is a little weird. So then he was like, the fat kid says, he tells her a story. He's like, I once kicked a boy in the balls so hard. I kicked him and kicked him and kicked him, and he died. Yeah. And so she says, you better give me that sword or I'll kill you. And he goes to reach for it, and she pulls the sword. And she says, I already killed one fat boy. And she says,
I bet you've never actually killed anybody.
Yeah, and she says, I bet you're a liar. Well, I'm not. I'm good at killing fat boys, and I'm good at killing, and I'm good at killing fat boys. And so...
About to poke this pudgy bitch.
Yeah, and that's when Gendry walks up.
But the fat kid backs up into
that's
Gendry,
right.
And
Yeah,
Gentry's like, the fuck is this?
Yeah, and he's like, you're picking on people smaller than you. And then
he's like, I've been hitting steel the last 10 years, and it sings when I hit it. Do you think you'll sing when I hit you?
Yeah. So
like, well, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I not want to play with that. So the fat kid and the little Tiny Tim kid, they walk away, or they run away. And then Gendry reaches out to the sword, and he says, that's Castle Forge steel. Where did you get that? And he says, well, doesn't matter where we're going. Doesn't matter who you are, where you got it from. It's yours now. Just keep it with you. So she asks who he is, and he says, well, I was like a blacksmith's assistant.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what are you doing now? And he said, well, my master got sick of me, so here I am.
Yeah. Quote, sick of you. Quote, he got word to send you away so you didn't get murdered.
Exactly. So that's when Euron says that it's 1,000 leagues from King's Landing to the wall, and winter is coming, so they better get a hurry.
Roll out.
Yeah. So we cut to Castle Black. Jon is serving Lord Commander Mormont, and Lord Commander Mormont goes, ham? How many days in a row does someone expect you to eat ham? And he's like,
I don't make the fucking menu.
Yeah.
I'm your dude.
Yeah.
Like, get mad at the kitchen, bro.
Exactly. So he's like, well, at least bring me beer. So Jon walks over with that, and Lord Mormont goes, are you tired from your moonlit ride?
You look a little tired.
And Jon, of course, is taken back. And
oh, shit.
is like, what happens? And so then Lord Commander's like, Don't worry about it. If we beheaded all the men who run away at night, there would only be ghosts left to watch the wall.
Yeah, it's like most people run away to go get some ass in town. So he's like, well, at least you weren't doing that. You were going to do something honorable.
Yeah, exactly. And he says, honor made you leave and honor brought you back. And that's when Jon's like, well, it was my brothers that brought me back. And Lord Commander's like, well, I didn't say your honor.
Yeah.
And Jon says, well, they killed my father. Jon goes, well, they killed my father. And Lord Commander says, well, are you going to bring him back to life?
Yeah, and your plan was to bring him back?
Yeah. And he's like, look, Rangers are reporting that villages beyond the walls have been abandoned. Beyond the wall have been abandoned.
They're saying the wildlings are starting to group up together for some reason.
Yeah, and that some of the Night's Watchmen have reported that they found 4 blue-eyed corpses, and he said smartly they burned them where we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he says, do you think your brother's war is more important than ours? And,
Jon says no.
Yeah. And so then he says, so he starts talking about how, when the dead rise and come for us, like...
None of that shit's going to matter.
Exactly. And he says, I want you to bring your wolf with us when we ride out beyond the wall tomorrow. And Jon's like kind of looking at him.
Beyond the wall?
Yeah. And Lord Commander says, I'm not going to sit meekly waiting on the snows to come. We're going to go find Benjen Stark alive or dead. I'm going to find out what's going on, and I'm going to only ask you this once. Are you a brother of the Night's Watch or a bastard boy who wants to play at war?
It's like, no more words needed.
Yeah, so we see...
let's run this shit.
Yeah, and we see the Night's Watch gear up to leave.
And they're walking through the tunnel.
The tunnel to go north.
And that's where we leave them.
Yep.
Season 1.
Yep, so then we cut to Khal Drogo. His body is wrapped, ready for the burning.
Yeah.
One of the Blood Riders is taking the dragon eggs out of like the case.
Yeah, because she wants them put like around his head.
Yeah. So Jorah walks up and says there's no use for the, like, Drogo won't have any use for the dragon eggs in the Nightland.
Yeah, he thinks that she's just like offering him, like putting coins on his eyes or something. He's like, no, I'm trying to hatch these fucking things.
Well, I don't, and so he says that they'd be more use to you if you sold them. And she says they weren't given to me to sell. And then Jorah says, Khaleesi, my queen, I vowed to serve you, obey you, and die for you if need be. And I know what you're intending, and don't do it. So Jorah thinks she's going to walk into the fire to kill herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dany says, no, you don't understand. And she says, I got this. And he says, I'm not going to just stand aside and watch you climb on that pile and burn. And she says, he says, I won't watch you burn. And she says, is that your fear? And then she smiles at him because she knows who she is.
Oh, yeah.
So she stands and addresses the few people who are left. And she says, you'll be my Khalasar. I free you. Go if you wish. No one will stop you.
Yeah, she's like, all right, but if you're staying, there's no more slaves, none of this shit. You're either going to have brothers, sisters,
husbands,
or wives, or husbands. And then as soon as she says that, like, a handful of people are like on their way out, like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah.
No.
And the witch woman smiles, of course. At that.
She's like, oh, well, yeah, good luck getting these like savages to be peaceful.
Yeah. So she smiles, and then Dany says, hey, Jorah, go tie that bitch to the pile, please. Yeah. So then Dany goes back and says, I'm Daenerys Stormborn, from the Targaryen line. And she says, I'm the dragon's daughter, and I swear to you that those who harm you will die screaming. And that's when the witch woman says, well, you won't hear any screams from me.
And it's like, bitch, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Have you ever been burned alive?
Yeah.
So you're just, what was even the point of like trying to act tough at this point? You have hit the end of your road. Oh, you won't hear me scream. Oh, funny story.
Yeah.
Let's see if that's true.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
Well,
we hear you screaming.
Yeah, and Dany says, you will. And she says, but it's not your screams I want, only your life.
Yeah, so it's like, A, I don't need that anyway. I just need your bitch ass dead. Mm-hmm. B, you're going to be vocal.
Yeah. So that's when Dany lights the fire. Thing goes up. The witch starts chanting. Jorah just keeps looking at Dany the whole time, just waiting for her to make a move. And so the fire's now gotten to the witch. She's screaming.
Yeah. Yeah, she seems to be screaming.
She's screaming, and as soon as she starts screaming, that's when Dany walks into the fire.
She's like, all right.
Yeah. So we cut to the next morning. All of the Dothraki are sleeping.
Just like sleeping around the circle.
Yeah.
And
we see Jorah and the 2 Blood Riders walking through towards the remains of the fire, which are now out.
Because I'm assuming they use that as their fire throughout the night.
Oh, yeah. They would
Everybody
definitely sleep in front of it.
Yeah, camped out there.
Yeah. The fire is basically out. There's a little bit of remains left, and you see Dany.
And her beautiful tits.
Her gorgeous tits. And she's not burned at all. She has all of her hair.
Yeah, and even her hair is the
In the
hair
book,
of the dragon.
her hair burns off.
I was wondering about that. It is weird that...
Yeah.
It is weird that the hair would not
I guess they were just like, meh, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. We can't have this girl looking like...
Okay, we already cut Cersei's here later on.
Looking like, what's her name on Friends? When,
oh, God.
She convinced... What is her name?
Kathy?
Yeah, Ben Stiller's wife old wife or something.
Fucking Christine Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she shaves her head.
Looking like her.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Where he's like, I can see your reflection.
All right, so we got naked Dany.
Yeah, so she
with these beautiful body and adorable little dragons.
Yeah, she has 3 little dragons. The one like climbs up on her shoulder, and that's when Jorah drops to the ground, bows, and he says, "You're the blood of my blood." And
everybody's like, "Oh shit!"
And that's when she stands. All the Dothraki are again waking up, seeing her unburnt, and then seeing the dragons, and
it's a lot of information to get it all at once.
Yeah,
as soon as you wake up,
exactly, and all just bow to her, and that's the end of season 1.
Season
done.
1. Finally.
Yes.
Only took us a year to log that one.
Well, thanks Christmas and colds.
Yeah, holidays and sickness and so hopefully, we'll get through New Year's and then we're gonna hit the ground running on season 2.
Yeah.
I am excited that we got through that because there are some good episodes. But
super good episodes, but
season 1 is just you're setting the whole story up. Now we can really get into some good shit, get into some dope ass characters.
Yeah.
Cannot wait to see my dude, the Red Viper.
Oh, he's so good.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just sad that we don't have more of him.
That's okay.
I think he's the one character. I may be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that at some point I read that George R. R. Martin was like, Oberyn's one character I wish I would have given you a little more of.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, here's this guy that just has it all. He's like sexy. He's like nice complexion. He's got he's like nice features. He's a fucking badass. He's
like
swaggy.
our gay friend was like, he's like the one bi character in the world. Like,
oh yeah. We were hanging out with some of our
gay
buddies. And they're gay, and he's like, dude, the one like sexy ass dude that likes to throw dick to dudes as well. It's like you gotta kill him off.
Yeah, he was so bummed.
Killing my fucking favorite characters off, but he is like Oberyn. Let's see, Oberyn, Bronn, the Hound, Arya.
That's your crew.
God, and I feel like there was one more. Maybe not. But either way, they're the shit. Oh, and Tyrion.
What Tyrion?
He's not badass, but he's just the fucking man.
A lot of people have this expectation that Tyrion is gonna fuck over everyone at the end for Cersei. And I don't like that because I want Tyrion to be on the good team.
Who's saying that?
A lot of people.
All right, attention, a lot of people. You're fucking dumb. Like,
well, it would be a George R. R. Martin twist.
Yeah, but a terrible one that even if it happens, none of us are gonna be on board with it because it doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
You've been awful to him your whole life. You've been awful to anyone that's affiliated with him.
Yeah.
And especially through all this shit. And he's finally in these, like, not that this is going to matter once the White Walkers are here. All hell is going to break loose. But, I mean, he's the fucking hand of the most badass queen that Westeros has ever seen.
No, I just think it's a bad plot choice.
It's garbage. People are trying to take the craziest and most backwards and asinine, like, outcomes. And they're like, oh, this is crazy. Oh, Tyrion's going to turn into a dragon and start sucking Bronn's dick. It's like, no.
Yeah.
No, it's like, I get that there's going to be some crazy things happening.
And there's some people that want Bran to warg into the dragon that Tyrion rides, too. This is how stupid and ridiculous some of these theories get. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure some goofy shit will happen, but
if Bran wargs into a dragon,
Tyrion ending up on Team Cersei, you're out of your goddamn mind, dude.
Yeah.
I will let Holly punch me in the face as fucking hard as she can. We'll shake on it
That's
right
not
now.
very hard,
if
but-
that happens,
I can't
hard enough
punch
to where
you.
it's going to suck.
You're so pretty.
Let me tell you, I'm not lying. We're shaking on it right now. You can punch me as hard as you can in the face. If at the end of this season, Tyrion and Cersei are like hand in hand and like, yeah, we fucking did it.
Yeah.
It's just not happening,
No.
people.
It's not happening.
Fan fiction.
No, I think it's stupid. I hate
Also,
that.
it's like, do you want that to happen?
No, that's the
And
last
if
thing
you
I
do,
want. I want Cersei
fuck
to
you.
die.
Yeah. Yeah, I want her to die just the worst. Also, you know what I just remembered? Not this is completely out of left field, but we were just talking about
already
Cersei.
talking about stuff that's out of left field.
The Shame woman
Oh yeah, shame.
has been locked up
Oh
and
yeah.
getting fucked with like this whole time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, oh,
I
yeah.
wonder like I wonder what she's
Shame.
like missing at this point. Like is she all of her finger and toenails gone? Like
Yeah.
she lost ears? Like her eyelids have been cut off so she can't like not be looking at what's going on. You know, who knows what's happened to that
'cause
woman.
what they did to Theon in the show isn't nearly as bad as
Oh.
it sounds in the book.
And Cersei just has it
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah,
for this
so I would
woman.
assume that they have to give someone like
I
a
love
torment
that too
like
because
that.
you're never on Team Cersei. You are a couple tiny little blips in the show,
Yeah.
like when she loses her children, and like when you could tell that she has no alternative motive. It's just like she's
Truly
she
reacting
is
to what's
absolutely
happened to
down,
her. Yeah.
absolutely. So and that's really rare. But damn, when she gets the shame bitch in the room, it is you just like. Love
Yeah.
that shit so much, dude.
Yeah, it
Even
is
though
one
it's
of those
Cersei,
moments.
you just
well,
like
because you know that woman was sadistic when she had Cersei under her.
and you know Cersei's fucking sadistic,
Yeah.
but it's like you still just I don't know what it is. You
It's
just-
justice. That's what it
You
is.
just love to see it, even though
Yeah.
you hate this bitch. But you're just like, oh, the shame bitch is
Yeah.
getting it.
Yeah.
I love it because you just hate
Yeah.
her face, and they never show her without her stupid little like nun hat on. So all you see is her shitty face.
and she's fine too.
She's pretty hot.
The woman that plays her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty sexy older woman when you
Yeah.
see like the actress that plays her. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, that's mind blowing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Shame.
love that shit
Shame.
when Cersei just wakes her ass up and it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
look what we have here.
Yeah.
Oh, how this is changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good scene.
Okay.
That's it.
We got through it without a bunch of hacking and coughing.
Yeah. Thanks to Hall's cough drops.
Yeah, this episode brought to you by Hall's Cough Drops,
No.
sugar-free Red Bull, and water.
And chai tea.
And chai tea.
Yeah, chai tea latte.
Latte.
Yeah. Excuse me.
I asked the girl at the coffee house. I was like, "Can I get a chai tea? Chai tea or chai tea latte? What's the difference?"
I can't tell you.
Chai tea is a tea, and okay, I don't know. Just fucking give me one.
yeah, we're not coffee drinkers,
Thanks.
so Daniel didn't know what latte meant,
I-
which is fine. Why would he? We don't order these
Well,
drinks.
normally I ask the experts.
Yeah.
Okay, can I get a chai tea? Which one? What's the difference? I don't know. Well, this is perfect. Thank you very much.
I came here with hoping that you had the knowledge to tell me the difference.
Anywho's,
Yes.
season 1.
Yep. Done.
We
the
crushed
books.
that. Also, we've pretty much crushed 2018.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's tomorrow.
I hope you guys had an awesome Christmas. I hope you have a really fun, safe New Year if you're traveling. Safe travels.
yeah.
Don't fucking pass on the right lane. Don't be a dick. Don't tailgate. Don't be that guy.
Yeah. Don't be on your phone.
Get off your
None of those
goddamn
things.
phone. Just put the podcast on. Put the phone down.
and drive.
And you've got an hour
Yeah.
of this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know you love it.
All right. We'll see you at the next one, season 2. We'll get it popping.
We'll see you in 2019.
See you next year, folks.
It's Daniel's favorite joke.
And if you hear anyone say that, punch them directly in the face.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
See you guys.